Good evening, Greg Countryman's Diary. Our podcast tonight is a guest where I'm going to need 10 of these and one of these ugly looking things. So, over to you, Mr. Barham. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Everybody watching, nice to be on here with you, Greg. My name's Dave Barham. I've edited various sea fishing magazines over the years. Of course, I've also been the editor of Air Gunner magazine, and more recently, I was editor of Air Gun World as well.
Yeah.
I'm into my shooting, into my fishing, and just being outdoors, basically. Just love it.
Ideal. Folks, I don't do fishing. It's like rabbiting in the dark. No point, no use. A bit over here and a bit over there. No, nothing. I'll stick with these. Right, so, how are you doing?
Pretty well, mate, actually. Yeah, as you probably know, about 3 years ago, I had a really serious back problem. I've got three good discs, one of which is cracked laterally. I've still got them. But that put me in bed for 3 months solid. Couldn't get out of bed. It was absolute torture. I managed to get to a hospital to see a private surgeon. I had to go private because the waiting list was 2 years. I had a nerve block injection in the base of my spine, and touch wood. Been up and about ever since. I had to learn to walk again. Had to have a Zimmer frame, believe it or not, because I've lost all the muscle in both my legs after 3 months of not moving. Yeah, it's horrible. But I'm fighting fit again now, mate. Out shooting and fishing, loving it.
Ideal, glad to hear. No, when I had the cancer, I had 18 months off just lying around waiting for the leg to heal. And having to relearn to walk at 38 is bloody stupid, I'll tell you. It's easier when you're a toddler and the ground's only 2 feet away, I'll tell you. Oh dear. Right, so. Bloody kids are brought home bloody lurgy free bloody half term. Here, Dad, have some lurgy. Thanks a lot. Right, so. Which came first, fishing or shooting?
I was 5 years old when my dad first started taking me boat fishing in the sea. Then I got into a bit of river fishing. How old was I? I was 12, I think, when I first started shooting. And I first started shooting air rifles. It was I went to secondary school, met my best friend, Chris, there, and he had an air rifle. Dad used to do a lot of shotgun shooting, a lot of pigeon shooting. So I sort of cut my teeth shooting a few pigeons with shotguns, and then I really got into the air rifle shooting. I think it was an HW77 that he used to have, and I had great fun. His parents were quite well off, and they had a big, long back garden. It was like 150 yarder. And pretty much immediately after that, I begged and begged and begged my mum. I'm in air rifle. I got a Webley Eclipse, but that was my first ever air rifle. Never looked back. So from about the age of 12, been air rifle mad ever since. I have had shotguns in the past. I haven't had a ticket for quite a few years now, 20 plus years. Always had air rifles, and now I've got too many. I keeps moaning.
I was about to ask, what's kept you poorer, the fishing gear or the air rifle gear?
It's about 50-50.
I get moaned at. See how much stuff you've got? What do you need 3 coats for? Summer, winter, and during the rain.
Like me, Greg, is there bits of your crap everywhere in the house? A little bit of something in every room.
Yeah, so you can see my little studio video. That's just some of the bits I own. My old horse bridle, the bit was there, some peacock feathers I found, gin trap, custom made boot puller for pulling my old boots on because some mornings I'm a bit stiff, my South African bush hat. I've even got stupid things like dubbing and stuff like that. And that's just the stuff here, a few empty bits of brass, hip flask. I've got my office out in the bottom of the stairs. I feel like Harry Potter down there. But I've got all my shooting dogs up behind that and my boots. And then I've got 3 sheds full of gear that I can use. And I keep stuff in the car like most of us do. Get the old phone call from farmer, come and sort rats or rabbits or whatever. It's already in the car ready. The only thing I don't keep out there is the air rifles, pellets, and anything electronic. I've always got like hand coolers and stuff like that on hand. So. Yeah, too much stuff. And then I'm looking at the internet going, I've got one of those. That's interesting. I could afford that in a few weeks' time. Yeah. Bushcraft sent me a catalogue back along. I'm like, I think I'll give that to the baby to play with because we'll keep looking for it.
Ending, mate, isn't it? It's never ending.
Yeah. But I tell you what I was disappointed with. Argos, I had a look at the fishing gear now. There's about 4 items now. It's terrible. And even all the sports stuff's gone.
Yeah, they
So
used to do
that,
they used quite a lot, didn't they?
yeah, they did. But I suppose the design of the times, people don't want that. They want a giant mug and a ring light, you know. A bit like that one over there.
The mail order side of things has actually killed it for them because a lot of their gear, I mean, they had fishing gear in there, it was way overpriced. I think now with the advent of decent mail order companies that deliver to your door, even rifles now, you can buy air rifles and get them delivered to your door. My local gun shop, Air Ranging Country in Lawrence, that own the place, one of them's out 2 or 3 times during the week, and they drive all over the country, whether it be Cornwall, Wales, to deliver rifles and set them up for people and whatnot.
Yeah.
That sort of service is winning.
Well, at the end of the day, if you can go online and you can order something, and I hate to say it, there are still some gun shops that aren't customer friendly. I know they have to be a little au fait with people, but if you go and know what you're on about, and they still look at you as if you're there to do them over, and then drive off on a couple of Harley Davidson motorbikes and go, it's not fair. I had a gentleman with me one day. We went to a local gun shop, and unbeknown to anyone, he's a carpenter, and he used to earn, I'm going back nearly 15, 20 years now, £1,000 a week as a carpenter. He wouldn't get out of bed for anything less. He was bespoke to the nines. And he had £1,000 in his pocket, and he wanted an air rifle and a lamp and everything to match what I've got. And I was showing him the old tracer spotlights, and then I said, well, you might like one of these Light Force ones, the Australian spotlights. And as I lifted out the box, if you're not going to buy it, you can pee off at my shop. So he did. Well, at the end of the day, that guy's just lost nearly £1,000 worth of shopping because he was au fait with us. You know, you can go online, you don't have to deal with anyone. It's 3-4 clicks on a computer, pay by your card, and it's all secure and job done, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, well, the guys at Ranging Country, they have got a shop as well. Every time I go in there, it's absolutely rammed. I think it's just that the level of service and the personal touch that they give to anyone that walks in that shop. They'll get good advice, and they'll get and the shop's going to get a good sale out of it. So
Yeah.
It's nice. I mean,
I can
there's
see
quite
that.
a few gun
Dave's
shops like
pulled up, put the stuff on the shelf.
that. There's quite a few good gun shops like that. I think the shops that tend to sell air rifles predominantly give a really good service, you know.
Yeah. I suppose it's like most things. You get like good and bad pubs, good and bad restaurants, and good and bad gun shops as well, isn't it? So, you know, you go to like British shooting show and stuff, and nearly all the exhibitors will bend over hand and foot to help you out with even the stupidest questions, isn't it? So,
I'm looking forward to the next British shooting show. The last sort of 3 years, it's just got better and better and better for air gunners. I'm talking about, as far as air guns are concerned, it's by far the best show in Europe. I think the 2025 show is looking just as good from what I've seen. So yeah, it should be a good one.
I haven't been for a little while for the sole reason I'm down in Plymouth and everything's so far that way. You know, it's a 4.5 hour drive to Birmingham. If the road's empty, you know, it's just stupid. And then you got accommodation on top, and it's a good 2 days to walk around the show if you really want to see everything, innit? So once we were trade with the Barham magazine and went up there and stuff, just as a man on your own, it's not really feasible these days. So it's a pity, but
It's a shame. It's a shame because it is a really good show.
right. So I'm going to ask you this, and you might leave: fishing or shooting? If you could only do the one for the rest.
It's a really tough question. Really tough. I think probably I'd have to say fishing. if I'm honest with myself.
Okay.
I know, letting the side down. I did say it is a really tough question. I don't want to give either up, to be honest with you. But, I've been fishing since I was 5 years old. Been editing or working for fishing magazines for 30 plus years. I started shooting when I was about 12, I think I was. Been fishing a bit longer than I have been shooting, but I have been shooting for, realise how old I am, 40 years.
I've just thought of a question, and it just popped in my head. The late John Darling, I know you might have missed him at the air gunner offices, but did you ever work with him in the fishing magazines?
Never actually got to meet him. I spoke to him a few times on the phone. But, I never actually got to meet him in the flesh, unfortunately. But I used to love reading his bass fishing exploits. And then later on the shooting stuff.
Yeah, I loved his shooting stuff. I spoke to him a couple of times, and he said the best night I ever had. I had a little, I think it was on 100cc on the motorbike, old Bergen backpack, and he had like 50 odd rabbits in there. And he got on the bike, he was too heavy, he fell off and went in a ditch. But he said to me, the best thing you can do, it sounds stupid, regardless of the weather, is wear trainers so you can feel the ground under your feet when you're stalking, especially at night. And it works. But down in Cornwall, we have water this deep standing in most of our fields and stuff all year, so it's just not advisable.
No, he was
Lovely
a
guy to
very
chat to.
knowledgeable
Funny
guy.
enough, I spoke to him, I think it was about 2 months prior to his passing, and he didn't mention anything about that at all. I think he knew he was dying. But not a problem, gave me about an hour on the phone, and I only phoned up the offices just to ask a daft question, and about an hour of his time later,
Bless him.
then open the next edition to find out he had passed. He's like, hang on, I only spoke to the guy the other day. But yeah, sadly missed. So with several others, isn't he?
Absolutely, mate, absolutely.
So do you feel the magazines, because I know a lot of it is online now, are still doing their job as a magazine, or do you think it's better online or better in the paper, as it were? Or what did
I
you
think
say?
I'd like to think that there'll always be a place for a magazine. I mean, if you go back a couple of years, what did we have? 3, 4 magazines. Now we've got one. Yeah, it's sort of predicted this quite a few years ago because I've been in publishing for well over 30 years now, and I've published my own magazine as well. I know a little bit about the industry, but I always thought it was going to come down to there being one magazine of each discipline, whether it be golf, football, fishing, shooting. There'll always be one magazine on the shelf because it will always be profitable to have one magazine there. Digital thing is because it's so spread out, quite hard for people to advertise, if you like. A lot of the guys now, if you notice, especially in the airgun industry, they're all employing cameramen and social media sort of experts doing their own thing with regards to social media, but they all still advertise in the magazine. It's
Yeah.
a different audience. Talking earlier about people that you've had on the podcast, say our elder generation who aren't too tech savvy, a large proportion of the airgun world readership. They'd much rather have a physical paper magazine in their hand to flick through at their leisure than try and log on to a website or an app,
Yeah.
get screen blind trying to read it. So, yeah, I mean, I think airgun world will be around for a little while. Yeah.
Ideal. And I hear you had a little change of positions there the other day.
Yeah. Well, basically, the company that owns Airgun World and various other shooting magazines, he decided to have a bit of a restructure. Unfortunately, I was the biggest expense on the mag, and my position just wasn't tenable. So, we came to an agreement, and I left, and I've since gone back again as technical editor. I'm still in the magazine, so far less responsibility.
You're now on page 3.
I'll tell you what else has happened as well. I've just started working for BSA.
British Small Arms.
Yes, yeah, I went up there to see Simon a few weeks ago, and
How is
yeah,
he?
I'm now doing a load of video reviews for them. I've got some exclusive stuff sitting over there in the corner of the room. I don't know if you've seen these yet.
Yes, the Mark III magazines or something stupid like that.
Original R12 X magazine, 12 shot. Now do a 20 shot CLX magazine, a 177 and 22, and I believe the .25 is 16 shots. It goes into any Lex rifle, so the R12 and the new Ultra. You get 20 shots out, and amazing how much difference those extra shots makes. Well, you will know when you're out ratting, especially when the
Yeah.
action's thick and fast. If you can rattle off 20 shots reasonably quickly, and maybe have a couple of them in your pocket, there's a lot of hassle switching out mags.
Yeah, we were chatting just before the show started. My old F200, I got the magazine convert in there. Back when I did it, I suppose early 2000 and something when it came out. I think it was just shy of 65 quid for it then. And the biggest problem I had, even though there's a little lug pop cut in it, and it's meant to pop back out when you hit the 10th shot. At night, it was fine. You can feel it, not a problem. But daytime, you get caught up heat at the moment, and you're stalking and everything else. I'd lose track of where it was. So I said to my mate, who's a jeweler, could you engrave it with the numbers in reverse order, starting going down? That's not a problem, he says. About 2 weeks go by, I get an irate phone call. Come down to collect this bloody thing, will you? Oh, what have I done now? He said, you didn't tell me it's hard aluminium, aircraft grade stuff. I've gone through 3 engraving tips doing it for you, but there you bloody go. But now I literally, as you load it, it says 9, and as you cycle it around, it goes 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and then you get 1, 2, and then you know it's about to pop out. And to cycle back, it goes flying. Where the hell did that go? Because it's only an inch diameter circle. And I found it in puddles, in grass, under leaves. It's like, yeah, I think I'll hold on to that a bit more this time. I never learn, never learn. Oh dear. So, technical editor, what do they do then?
I basically go through all the proofs at the end of the month, make sure there's no glaring errors in there, but I'm also their sort of point of contact with a lot of people in the trade, because I know pretty much everyone in the trade. And yeah, I'm just there to answer questions to the management they've got on simple stuff, really, because they don't really know a lot about the air rifle scene, so to speak. So I'm there to sort of advise them, if you like, on who's good for this and who's good for that. New gears coming out, what we need to be reviewing, that sort of stuff.
Ideal. So, favourite air rifle?
That's a good question.
Fishing, shooting.
Well, actually, a Springer. Can I have a Springer and a PCP?
Oh, go on then. Just for you.
It's a gas ram. I go for my Theobin Evolution 2.2. I've still got that rifle. I've had it, must be 35 years plus. The rifle that I go to every single time I go out the door when I'm going hunting is my R10 SE carbine. It's literally just come back from BSA, because I took it up there a couple of weeks ago when I went for the meeting, and they stored it all for me, give it a good service, put a new reg in, gauge. Yeah, it's just everyone's got one. I've got loads of rifles upstairs, but everyone's got that one rifle they go to inside out. They know they can just pick it up, take it out, and it's going to be on point every single time you pull that trigger.
Yeah. My S100's like that. It's had one service in nearly 25 years, something like that. And even our arms are like, why has it only had one service? It's only ever gone wrong once. They're like, okay then, here. Well, I'm going to ask you something now, Dave. 2.2 or 177?
All day long, unless I'm shooting rats in the barn, when I tend to use 2.2. But most of the time I'm a 177 man, because Yeah, it's a bit more forgiving. Although I'm pretty good with my ranges and hold over and hold under and stuff. But yeah, I do tend to push it a little bit when I'm out rabbiting. You know, a lot of my shots are sort of 40, 45 yards. I just know with my 177 that I'm going to hit where I'm aiming. Yeah, no, I just prefer 177.
We'll let the beginners use 177, folks. It's all right. Suit for us more experienced ones.
All right, here's one for you.
Ooh.
It's not easy, is it?
I'm going to say 17 if you find a good silencer for it. Because once you fire that first shot off, that nice air crack, yeah. You need a good count on the end, but other than that, no, I like the 17 because the 2-2, things have got a chance to move over that 50, 60 yards. 17, it's already there before they've heard the crack. Everything else hears it, but they don't. Like the old saying, if you hear the sniper rifle shot, it's not for you. Yeah, I know with the diary, we went online and my mate kindly rented us a server space. And within the first 6 months, we killed the server twice. We just didn't know what to do. There's so many bloody hits coming in. But we had Google Analytics running at the time, which is now sadly finished. But we were getting hits from countries. I had to Google these countries to find out where they were. So I'm looking, thinking, right, so in the deepest, darkest Borneo jungle, there's somebody sat on an iPad reading the diary. Huh? How? Why? But they were. And it took off. And we did, well, nearly 10 years until our servers finally died here just after lockdown. And incredible experience running it all and doing it all. But then you got the other side of the coin. Where's your article? Have you done it yet? No, I'm done. I've been busy in my life. Well, you said you would write it once a month. It's not difficult. Everyone else has wrote that. But I've been busy, you know. Or I'm in out shooting room. The missus wanted something with the kids this week, you know. And you get that sign. You can see I pulled my hair out. So it's that side was the killer and pushing people and being a bit with them. Because at the end of the day, everyone gave up their time to write and pass on their knowledge with the diary, and that's how we wanted it. But then you got the catch of that is people then were trying to give up their time to do that. Sometimes you go, all right, lay aside this month and we'll do an extra article next month. But the hits we got were incredible. And some of the places people were reading the diary, and you think, they don't even speak English there, but they read it, and I got the Google it. You know, they're male, age 45 to 50, and they're sat on an iPad reading the diary, and it's like, okay then. And then you start Googling other places that are doing it, it's like, I can't believe people are even got the territory of the bloody signal to read it, let alone anything else. And we rebuilt the diary 3 times in total before it died. And it was a fabulous ride to do it, but it was a pain in the ass as well. But yeah.
I should imagine it's pretty much the same as editing a magazine, although there is a little bit more incentive for contributors to get their stuff in because they're getting paid for it. If they don't do it, they don't get paid, and they sort of come to the cash in the bank at the end of the month. But yeah, it's not easy managing folks and getting them to give up their time to do stuff like that.
And the biggest problem we had, because as you know, I'm a family man, and most of our other guys were, review items. Now, we had some stuff sent down to us, company will remain nameless, and it was about 6 or 7 years ago. Do you remember we had rain from like August right through to January?
Yeah.
And great swaths of England were under floodwater.
They
phoned us up a little bit on the grumpy side, to use some wording. When's this review happening? So, this is my shoot, and there's like 3 feet of water on it. And Rob is on the Somerset levels, basically, and he opened his curtains, and there was water for about the next 10 miles. He said, well, when it dries up, unless you'd like a review from a canoe. And they got a bit arsy with us, but we couldn't get out. There was no way of doing it, you know. He was up in Somerset. I was down in Cornwall here. Even though I live in Devon, I have to go across the water to hunt. And our land was just flooded, you know. And how do you find the reviews? Do you have like a bit of a balance, or because I know a lot of you guys are on times and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time, you'll only have something for sort of 2 or 3 weeks, in which time you've got to take it out, use it as much as you possibly can to try and give an honest opinion of it, of how it works. Yeah, much the same up here. I mean, I'm in Lincolnshire, and it's very, very flat, and it's all reclaimed land. So much the same. It's when it floods, it really does flood. Got quite a few barns that I'm quite lucky enough to shoot in. So no matter if it's chucking it down with rain constantly for 2 weeks, I can get into a barn. They're mostly full of wheat or potatoes up here. Get in there and smack some rats. Pretty handy, especially for testing thermal gear, spotters and that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, I've got quite a few permissions where a few rabbits on there as well. One thing I haven't really got is woodland. I've got no copse or much woodland shooting for pigeons and stuff up here. And squirrels. That's the only thing I'm sort of lacking in. But yeah, as far as review stuff goes, it is always on a deadline. Companies will let you keep stuff for a couple of months to play with, which is good. Yeah, a lot of the time it's pretty much in and out. It's not so bad now. It used to be all the magazines out there. It used to be a bit of a rotation. It's like, well, we'll send it to you. You can have it for like 10 days, and then it's got to go to him, and then it's got to go to him. Because I only had 1 or 2 sort of review items.
Yeah.
As well as I do. You start passing a thermal spotter around to 4 or 5 different people. It's going to get dropped. It's going to be chucked on the grass. They get a bit battered. Companies would only have 1 or 2 bucks review.
Ideal. So, you shoot rats. Have you got many rabbits up there? Because we had VHD come around a couple of years ago and wiped nearly all of my stock out.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky, really. I haven't got millions. 4 or 5 is a good evening with the air rifle. So everything, you turn up. If you visit, I sort of rotate my perms. I'll shoot one for a couple of nights during the week, and then I'll go to the next one. So they get a bit of a rest in between. It's like anything. You go the first night to a perm that hasn't been shot for 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll see 30 or 40 in the field when you turn up. As soon as you get out there and lay down, you've got to wait an hour for them to come out. But yeah, I like shooting a lot of my perms up here because it's so flat. And mostly hedge around the edges of the fields. Forget the wind direction, and it's blowing straight over the top of the hedge. If it's a howling gale, it's the time I like to go shooting, even with the air rifle. Those are the times I've had my best nights, where I've had sort of 9 into double figures as they're sort of coming out the hedgerow. The wind's blowing straight at me across the top of the hedgerow. Where I'm laid down on my sniper's mat with a rifle on a bipod. There's very little disturbance on the ground itself, wind-wise, so my shots aren't affected. But yeah, the rabbits can't hear you. Yeah, they just tend to pop out a lot more when it's like that.
And I'll tell you, you'll appreciate this being a fisherman as well. If we get an east wind down here, we won't get any rabbits out at all. And a lot of people, oh yeah, you're talking crap. But our fishermen won't fish on an east wind. They won't bother going out of port. And our rabbits don't like east wind either. And you won't see a single rabbit out on an east wind. It's strange, but it's one of those odd things. Do you find that up that way? Because you're on that odd coast up, aren't you?
I'm right smack bang on the east coast. I've never really thought of it like that in terms of that, because obviously fishing, it's always been the saying, when the wind's in the east, the fish bite the least, and when the wind's in the west, the fish bite best. And that I was talking to you about, and the particular perms I'm shooting is a southwesterly. That blows straight in my nose with the hedgerow.
Yeah.
Really opposite me. So yeah, easterlies never really done very well when I've been out rabbiting in an easterly up here, but I've never actually thought of it like that. Just thought it was just the direction on the perms I'm shooting.
Yeah, so you're an experienced fisherman. Why don't the fish bite on an east wind? What causes it?
absolutely no idea. Did say to me ages ago that silly winds usually are combined with. They said it was low pressure or high pressure, but I don't. It's an old wives' tale. The general fishing is generally poorer on an easterly wind, unless you're bass fishing. And I've never found it difference when you're bass fishing at all. Plenty of bass in an easterly wind.
So, what fish do you fish for? Is it just sea fishing, or do you do coarse or angling?
Absolutely everything, apart from pole fishing, because I think that's just pole anglers. I think it's a bit boring.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
It's a bit like sailing, isn't it? If I'm going to go on a boat, I want an engine with some revs. It's like if I'm going to go fishing, I want to hear that drag screaming and feel the fish taking line from me. But yeah, no, I do everything. Do a bit of fly fishing for trout. Enjoy a bit of river fishing for chub and barbel. Since I used to do a lot of carp fishing. I still go, but not as much as I used to. This time of year, it's all pike fishing for me on the Fenland drains up here and the rivers.
River wolves.
Yeah, I love my pike fishing. I've had quite a few 20s over the last few years, which from a river's like really nice fish. It's sea fishing for me mostly, boat fishing. I just love it. I love being out on boats and I love being out at sea and rolling.
We have the Tor Point ferry down here, and it goes across the Tamar River. Takes about 10, 15 minutes on. I think they're like a foot link chain. It runs through a couple of like capstans. We broke down one night. One of the chain snapped, and we started drifting on one chain going down the river. Horrible sensation instead of going that way, you're going that way all of a sudden. Eventually, they sort of chugged back on one chain right over off the ferry. The only other time I've been on a smallish boat, my mate bought an X. What's the speedboats they race around Plymouth Sound and stuff?
It's not Fletcher, is it Fletcher? I can't remember.
No, they're like speedboats, but they're like stupidly fast, aren't they?
They do that, and they do it on the Channel Islands as well, don't they? They do like 100 mile an hour.
One of those boats with a 250 Evinrude on it. It spent months. I went next door, helped him, got it running, bucket next to it, running, lovely. Put it in the water. 3 minutes in, bloody thing cuts out. We had to row the boat back to shore, didn't we? On a tidal river, we're trying to go the wrong way down the tide. It's like, this isn't looking very good, Wayne. And he's like, it's fine, keep rowing. Lovely, great speedboat. And then we are rowing it, I don't do the river very good. I don't do sea very good.
Bless you.
Feet on the land. And even there it's flooded, so I can't win. So do you eat your fish as well, though? Because I know plenty of fishermen that just catch and release and they don't eat fish.
That's why I do predominantly sea fishing. My wife loves fish, my kids love fish, my mum loves fish, I love fish. I love cooking it as well. I do most of the cooking in the house anyway. I do love cooking fish, and there's don't ever eat fish like it unless you catch it yourself. I catch the fish, whether it be bass, whether it be turbot, cod, whatever. First thing I do is bang them on the head, gills, chuck them head first into a bucket full of seawater. It's all the blood out. Makes the flesh taste completely different to anything you buy in a supermarket. It's bled out, goes on ice in the cool box, even in the winter. The cool box has always got ice blocks in it, so it's nice and cold. Generally bring the fish home, fillet them at home now. To do them on the boat until I had a bit of an accident. Okay, my ring finger, middle finger, that one. I was filleting I think it was a mackerel actually. I was filleting some mackerel, bring home and stick under the grill, and nice flat calm day in July. A ferry went past us. I didn't anticipate the wash. The wash from the ferry hit the boat, and I ended up sticking the blade in knife right through my knuckle. Went right in through the top and underneath it, out the other side.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Ever since then, I've always filleted my fish at home. It all got infected. It swelled up like a sausage, and yeah, it weren't very nice. But yeah, I love eating fish, and I think if you can catch them yourself, dispatch them, eat them, come home, there's nothing like it. Even in the best fishmonger in the world, fish is going to be quite a few days old, unless you're buying it straight off the boat that's been out that day and come back in. I found out a few years ago, which I think is pretty shocking, that if you go to any of the major supermarket chains, you see fresh fish on their fish counter. Times out of 10, it's defrosted, it's been frozen. They're legally allowed to buy fish frozen, frost it, and sell it as fresh fish. It is technically fresh, but it could have been frozen for 2 or 3 months before you buy it.
One of those stupid little government loopholes. I know a couple from the meat industry.
Similar thing, I should
As
imagine.
long as meat is unpacked in this country and chopped into either dice or steaks, whatever, it can be labelled as British because it's been handled and packed in the UK as chopped meat.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That's why, on your steak or like your bacon or whatever, it'll say killed in such a place and then packed in or cut in. And they have to do that thingy, but you get abattoirs, cutting plants, they'll buy cheap from abroad, bring it in, and carry on,
It's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
I'll say we eat a lot of fish in this house. We eat a lot of shellfish as well. I've got a good friend Matt who runs a crab boat up in Skeggy, and he's only sort of 25 miles away from me where I am. So I quite regularly pop up there and get some fresh crab off him, or the odd lobster or two. But because I live in Lincolnshire, we're blessed with, although it's mostly arable land up here, we have got a bit of a reputation for and sausages. We've got quite a few decent local farm shops associated with the actual farms themselves. Yeah, my mum buys sort of half a lamb. We sort of divide up, and most of our meat from the farm, so to speak, rather than buying it from the supermarkets. A little bit more expensive, but I think it does taste better, and you know where it's come from.
Yeah. There's something about farm meat. I think it tastes cleaner, should we say? It hasn't been wrapped in plastic and styrofoam and injected with different airs or nitrogens and stuff like that. And it just tastes different. There is a nicer taste with it. But you mentioned your mum a couple of times. A lot of people might not know this. Your mum's very famous as well, isn't she?
Barham, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone that fishes, or carp fishes especially, will probably remember who she is. She used to write for Carp World and Carp Talk with the late Chris Ball. He got her started doing that. She's written for Gun World for, I think, best part of 30 years, doing recipes. She's published her own recipe book, Delicious Vermin. That was a massive success. Death threats over that, by the way.
That's on that ratatouille recipe, wasn't it?
It was squirrel pate. We went on. Was it Good Morning Britain? We went on. I think it was for chief lady from Peter. Trying to shooting a squirrel and eating it is far more humane than eating a factory farm chicken. Eats better for you. The tree rats dispatched quicker than the factory farm chickens and stuff. But yeah, she wasn't having any of it. But yeah, my mum's done a lot of recipes. She's got a second book that she's just finished now. It's going to be called Raising the Game, I believe. It's going to have a bit more game recipes in there, more sort of partridge, salmon, sea trout, that sort of stuff, as well as the rabbit and the everything else, pigeon, and else that goes with it, and of course, and venison as well. Quite lucky up here, actually. I don't do an awful lot of deer stalking. Only sort of on an invite every now and then from a friend, because they're out all the time performing pest control duties. Go out and catch a load of bass, or I'll go and catch a load of cod. Swapsies, I'll have a haunch of venison, and I'll give you a couple of bass, sort of thing. Quite good. That's the way it always used to work, isn't it? It's such a shame that
country border.
so many people do that anymore.
No, there's a couple of nice Facebook pages where people do, but sadly, a lot of people, in my view, they're now charging for it all. I know some people have to go out and do this and do that with it and everything else, but the page is giving up the game, not giving up and making a bloody profit off it. But yeah, so at the end of the day, the old country way of bit of barter always worked, wasn't it? Bit of land for the sea and bit of air, and but there we go. Right, favourite fish recipe, and don't say fish fingers.
Favourite fish recipe would have to be my favourite fish is turbot. This recipe goes for pretty much everything. Cook it in a frying pan with a tiny bit of olive oil and a big knob of proper butter. That is it. Bit of salt and pepper. You don't need anything else. Obviously, fish such as turbot, bass, black bream, they've all got their subtle tastes, and you don't need to put anything else on them. The side I would probably have a little bit of samphire, something like that, some new potatoes, and job done. That's all you need. Just don't kill it and put sauces all over it and that sort of stuff. You don't need to. Proper butter, salt and pepper. That's it.
And favourite game?
Game. Oh, that's a good one.
Football.
Citrus. Big lover. Listen, I think if we have to talk birds, not really a game bird, but I just love pigeon. I love eating pigeon. I'll eat pheasant. I don't mind pheasant. Partridge as well. Out of all of it, if I could just have a freshly shot pigeon, 2 breasts, pan fried in a bit of butter, salt and pepper, that'll do me.
I'm seeing a bit of a pattern in your house now. Butter, butter, butter. Do you want a cup of tea? Yeah, how many bits of butter do you want in it?
But I've got a bit of a bad rap. It's the same with milk, isn't it? I don't know if you remember the massive push, wasn't there, to say that people shouldn't drink the blue top, like the full fat milk, because it's 3%. It's
Yeah.
full fat milk straight out the udder is full fat milk. The full fat milk that we drink is supposed to be the
full fat milk.
fat milk. And it's nowhere near as bad for you as people say. It's the same with butter. I'd much rather eat butter than some crappy margarine.
Well, my old man, fat belly pork home on the farm, butter, lard dripping, and lived till he was nearly 90. So I'm going to carry on.
That's it, mate. That's it.
My diabetic nurse don't like me because I've got no cholesterol yet. I've got all this. And she's like, well, you're fat. You still have cholesterol. I said, no, because I eat the proper fats. I eat animal fats that can be digested. Go away. Don't like you.
It's the same with oils as well, Proper butter and olive oil. Look at the continent. Spain, Italy, Greece. They pretty much drink olive oil over there, don't they?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous ages. They're all very healthy as well when they're old. To be said for it, for natural fats and oils.
Yeah. No, I'm retired chef, and for years I thought I had something wrong with my stomach, or nervous, shall we say, in Catford Drift. I had shares in Andrex. Anyway, I gave up chefing a fair while ago now, and all through lockdown, I still had a bad stomach. So I thought, everywhere's shut, or nearly everywhere's shut. I'll figure out what it is. And I gave up this food group. I gave up my beloved bread. Gave up this. Gave up. And do you know what it was? Palm oil. It had the same effect as Dino Rod does.
Yeah.
And I've stopped palm oil nearly 5 years now. And I need something to touch. Touch wood. I'm almost regular as clockwork, twice a day, and that's it now. Because it used to be 7 or 8 times, couldn't go no more than 100 yards in the car, I had to find a public loo. And it turns out it was the palm oil. It crept in everything. And it's even in your shower gel and shampoo, cakes, and everything that used to have butter or lard or even veg oil at some point is now palm oil. And I've done loads of research, and even the palm oil, excuse me, even the palm oil plantations, they have rats that live in the palm oil trees, but the monkeys don't eat the palm oil. They actually kill the rats in there, and they all charge a tree and kill the rats. But nothing actually eats the palm nuts themselves.
I mean, there's plenty. If people Google it, there's plenty of evidence out there for just how bad the stuff actually is. And like you say, it's in pretty much everything nowadays. If they use it as a preservative to make stuff last a bit longer, it's cheap. It's really bad for you.
Yeah, very, as I found out. But I've been right as rain ever since, so it just goes to show that we like cholesterol and stuff. It turns out that's more hereditary than dietary anyway, so. Sadly, Dad died 4 years ago, a couple of weeks ago. He got to taken to the hospital. He had had a fall, and Daft Bug wanted to put the car away one stormy, wet night and fell down between the car and the fence. Couldn't get up. Out there for 3/4 an hour. They took him to the hospital. They called me up there. Young nurse for the triage for A&E. Did he have a hard life? I said, do you know what 200 weight is? She went, no. I said, you know when you watch the old like TV shows and they got a big sack of corn and have to go up the hill to the mill? Yeah, that's 200 weight. He used to hunt them around as a young man, like 14, 15. Wasn't he in school? He left school at 12 and a half. You've seen milk churns? Yeah. Those big things, yeah. He used to carry 2 of those up the lane a mile every day, full of milk. And milk 10 cows before school, then cycle 3 miles to school. Maybe he did have a hard life then. It's like, yeah, just a little bit. Everything was done by hand there. There was no tractors, no nothing. They still farmed with horses. My days, he went. I went, yeah, that's why the bugger's 88 and looks like he does. But Dad in his prime, I've seen him take a 17mm socket and he was helping out a farmer because he used to sell farm machinery and actually twist the 17mm socket around on itself like you would a Coke can. And the farmer still got it hung up on the wall out there as a memento. There ain't many blokes that could do that.
That's proper strength, isn't it? You know, when
Yeah.
you say that you start work at that young age and you do that for pretty much most of your working life, I don't think you ever lose that strength.
No. When, I don't know how old I was, I think I might have been 6 or 7, he had really bad gallstones. And typical surgeon, oh, you're fat, Mr. Willing. I don't normally operate on fat people. When Dad came around for anaesthetic, surgeon stood at the side of the bed. I'd like to apologise. That's actually all stomach muscle. Of course, Dad was built poorly like me, but incredible strength. You know, we had the horses there right up until he was like 78. And he used to outwork me. It used to take me an hour to muck out 3 horses and put them all back together. He used to do it in 3/4 an hour. He taught me. How can't I outwork him? I was 25 at the time. Why can't I outwork a 78-year-old man? But he had the knack, like most old men do. And, you know, he'd go out and turn the garden over by hand. I'll be out there, like, leaning on the floor. Hello, Mr. Robin. I'll have a fag while I'm talking to you, type of thing. He would have carried on another 3 or 4 rows, turned over, and I'm like, are you doing anything? Yeah, I'll be there in a minute, Dad. But the old ones just had that way, didn't they? So.
At different times, different breed, different mentality. I think back in those days, it was a case of having to.
Yeah.
We've got it pretty easy nowadays. That's not really.
I think for like our generation, we've had the old ways, the new ways, and the future. As like my kids and your kids, they've got like YouTube. Oh, I want to learn something. I'll watch YouTube for the day, you know. We didn't have that. There was only one way of learning it. Go and ask somebody. Either that or go to your local library and find a book, you know. That's out this week, back in 2 weeks. That's useful, wasn't it? Do you remember when Encyclopedia Britannica, all like 97,000 volumes would be on entire wall? It's like, right. Nowadays, 3 clicks on Google and you're there, you know.
I remember when the LTs came out, computers, and then all of a sudden you had the entire Encyclopedia Britannica and like CDs that you could put into the computer. Time. You're right about YouTube.
Did you have a 3.5-inch floppy, Dave? That'll confuse our younger listeners.
Excellent. I mean, times have changed. YouTube is great though. There's a lot of rubbish on there, but you know, if your washing machine suddenly stops working, Google it, get a video on YouTube of how to take the impeller out and replace it, which I did a little while ago. You know, useful
I
for
had to
stuff
use
like
it
that.
to turn the bloody song off when it finishes. Does yours do that? Shut up! I know you finished. I can hear the spin cycle stop in the next room. Shut up! Right, you're gonna hold that button, this button, and then kick the door shut or something stupid. Like, oh, bloody hell. Don't make it easy, but I know with YouTube especially, it's a fabulous platform. If somebody wanted to know something the other day, and I thought, I've seen a video about that. They were asking about something to do with air rifles on one of the groups. I've seen a video about that somewhere, and quick 5 minute search, I found the video that I was after, posted it, shared it. You know, fabulous. Could have done that 20 years ago. You know, we had forums years ago, and they were a little bit prim and proper to what they had to do.
You had to be a
An admin has not approved your answers is inappropriate. I had that years ago. Someone was I was on a bushcraft site just after like Facebook and stuff had opened, and this was one of these private servers. And somebody asked about firelighting. I said, well, it's not exactly napalm, you know. They said, what's napalm? They were young. So I just sent a link to Wikipedia. Right, instant handcuffs off the page. I was like, what have I done wrong? Oh, you were inciting terrorism. I was, no, he asked what napalm was, and I sent a link which he could look for anyway. But apparently that was wrong. It's like, okay then. But, you know, he didn't know. I answered up and I got kicked off the page for it, you know. So the internet is good in one sense and bad in another. Do you think it'll advance to the point where we'll do like virtual shooting or something like that? Because I know we can do like the virtual clay shooting and target shooting, but do you think you'd do like virtual bench rest or HFT or something like that?
yeah, I mean, I think the concept's quite good. I don't know exactly how it could be done.
Do you remember the old SNES gun duck hunt?
Yeah, absolutely. That
Something
was
like
great.
that, I suppose, you know.
Yeah, I think that would be good. That would be good fun. There's nothing like getting down a gun club and ripping the Mickey out of all your mates down there, and I don't think that'll ever take over from that. Put it that way.
No. Now, you showed me an item a minute ago that's to your left. Are you allowed to show it or not?
This, that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the new BSA 20-shot mag.
If you own a BSA rifle, these are in for you.
So only for the CLX models. So you're talking the R12, CLX Pro, and then the new Ultra as well, CLX. So that's your original 12-shot mag, 2.2. That's a 20-shot mag. So they do a 20-shot for 177 and 2.2, and I believe the .25 is 16 shots. But if you're a hunter like me and having 12 shots, having 20 shots when you're out ratting, especially, is an absolute godsend. Those extra 8 shots make all the difference.
Now, are you a glass hunter, a night vision hunter, a hybrid, or a thermal hunter?
Bit of everything.
Bit
Really,
of
bit of everything. So more recently, it's the digital day-night scopes have come on so well. Been using the digital day-night scope for pretty much most of my hunting. When I go down on the range, I've got Barham's S510R, which I love to shoot targets with down the range. Got glass on top. For a lot of my hunting now, because of the hunting that I do, which is mostly rabbits and rats, I am on the perm in daylight for the rabbits and waiting for it to get dark. Logic tells me that I've got to put a digital day-night scope on there. I'd much prefer to hunt with glass, but because of the pest control that I do and the situations that I do it in, i.e. most of the rats I shoot are in barns in total darkness, I have to shoot digital day-night scopes. I've tried thermal on top of the air rifle, but There are very few thermal scopes out there. I mean, there are a few very good ones, but there's very few that will do the job at 15, 20 yards.
Yeah.
Designed primarily for shooting deer. Thermal spotter wouldn't be without one now. I think I could hunt as effectively as I do a thermal spotter. That's an absolute game changer. Out of everything, like century, I would say a thermal spotter is the biggest game changer. Gram hunting, especially.
Yeah.
I can rock up to any of my permissions now. If I have to get out of the car, I have to wind the window down because thermal spotters don't work through glass or polarised glass anyway. Just wind the window down and scan the field, and I'm on the rabbits. If there's anything there, whether it's worth me getting out of the car or even after the next perm, have a scan round. Yeah, there's a load down there at the far end. Get out of the car, get the gear ready, have a trot down there. And when I turn up at the barn, in the racks, it's like being a kid in a sweet shop. When you open, you stand there, make sure the spotter is switched on. The gear with me in the car. I'm just standing there with the spotter. Slide the door open, which makes a bit of a racket, and then it's like step in quick and have a quick look around with the spotter, and it's like this little, because I use red hot most of the time. It's like poof, these little red dots glowing up everywhere. It's fantastic. It's like, oh, get all excited, get back to the car, the gun out, get the seat out, get the tripod out, and off we go. Yeah, I would say thermal imaging, handheld spotter, absolute game changer. And I'd advise anyone watching this, if you can afford it, get one because it will transform your hunting. All the time now, I use an infrared T2 Pro, which is basically, there's my iPhone there. Take that out of the case, and it comes complete with a hand grip and a sort of little vice thing that you screw your phone down into. Camera's only about the size of just smaller than a magazine. And plug it into your phone, and it uses your phone as a thermal spotter. I use that quite a lot, and they're only they're less than 300 quid, I think. They're very affordable for anyone that's looking at getting into a thermal spotter. That's a great entry level. It's very, very accurate.
Gone are the days of an old spotlight and a motorbike battery and an ice cream tub and a bad belt, and a battery acid dripping down your
I
trousers.
miss that at all for when I used to go lamping for rabbits in the day, and even cod fishing off the beach, like down at Dungeness and whatnot. Same thing, because you used to have a bloody great big headlamp that was sort of bigger than a dinner plate sitting on top of your head. The 12-volt battery strapped around your waist. And that thing about, I don't miss them at all.
I always remember on my godfather's farm, they had the old. Do you remember the old blue light farmer's torch with the big 6-inch light and then the little light in the top? Huge, great. I think it was like pressed steel, aluminium case, whatever. If you can pick it up, boy, you can come with us. I will get this in the back of the. And all I remember, we went up through the fields, up through the tracks, and I'm very old. Have you ever tried keeping still in the back of a Land Rover that's bouncing across every 4x4 rough terrain going? I went ding, 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 ding. Great time. Remember it. Still don't remember much detail about it. And then we went home. But I managed to get the bloody battery in the back of the thing with the light.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Times.
Thermal is on my list. Most of it's fairly pricey, so I'm saving up for that. I was kind enough to have Pard 007 and the 008 gifted by Pard for me for their reviews. Love them. I normally use the 007 for the handheld spotter and keep the 008 on whichever rifle I'm doing, because it's got 6 or 7 programmable presets inside. So you just plug it on, lock down the weavers, job done. And for air rifle, B is for the 223 or whatever. I've got an ATN X-Lite original here, but it weighs about 15 pound in weight. So by the time you lug that around with
you get ridiculous amount of battery life. I've got an ATN X-Lite for the Pro. That's one of the old ones. Get 12 hours out of it. Whereas all these new modern night scopes, you're going to get 3 hours out of a battery.
I don't know if you remember it. Do you remember that FIMO stuff like moldable clay?
Yeah.
I took the cover off, made a recover with that, and allowed the entry for the port. So I just carry a power bank and run it straight off that. Absolutely thing.
Yeah.
But you need sticks with it. I had it on the FAC air rifle for doing rats and stuff. It was fabulous. But you need like sticks with it. It's so bloody heavy. And I've still got the original Night Sight NS200 that still works. So I've got the night vision, and I've got about 4 good torches, 5 good torches. I've still got my Clear Light Interceptor, would you believe, with all the filters. And I finally managed to get around to getting new batteries for that the other day, 20 quid off Blue Light. And you just undo it, swap around, clip them back in, job done, charge up. I'm like, I wonder if it works. Click. Yeah, that's worked. Oh, I couldn't see for about an hour or so in the kitchen. Good job I can feel what I'm doing cooking. I couldn't see. But I still like lamping and stuff. But we get a lot of stuff. I suppose it's lamp shy, but it's not. It's just, I think they're just light sensitive now. We get foxes like it and rats like it, and even the few rabbits I've got left. As soon as you shine that beam of light on them, they're gone. But the night vision is handy for that. But thermal will be my next thing. I think I'll get a spotter like you, the T2 or something like that. Because as long as I can see enough, even like my deer in my wood, as long as I know there's deer there, I'm happy because my wood's on an angle like that. And you don't want to be trying to go up and down the bloody thing, I tell you.
Have a
Up and down
check
on the
with
ass.
Pete Dodsworth at Night Vision UK,
Yeah.
the main man in importing them. They're definitely under 300 quid. We'll put it this way: I bought one, only one for review in the mag, just to review it, and then I was going to send it back. But I said to him, "Can I buy it?" Because I was that impressed with it. I bought one. Terry Doe bought one. Bought another 2 for his mates. My mate Si bought one. Mick's bought one. Most of my friends now have one because it's a really
What sort of
affordable.
range do you get on it then, Dave?
I've had it looking at badgers and foxes well out to 100 metres. Array, basically. It's an infrared product, so it's going to be good. I think the American marketing for that particular product, the T2 Pro, they're looking at hogs and deer at ridiculous ranges. So for anyone who shoots deer, who shoots foxes, it's going to be ideal. I got it for the rats. Especially it was great. One of the farm yard rat shoots that my mate Simon and I shoot on. Basically, have my with the camera on it, tripod in between us. We're both sat there, our rifles on tripods, sat next to each other on chairs. This thing, because it's got quite a wide angle on it, just looking out in front of us, and we sort of make an imaginary line split down the middle of the screen. Anything pops out left, shoot it, and anything pops out right, he'll shoot it. The only thing we sort of missed was a table and a basket of tea and some biscuits. It's like sitting in your front room.
I do. What advice would you offer young fishermen and young air rifle hunters coming in through?
A club, both. Much advice as you can from people who have been shooting for their life, basically. I find nowadays that most gun clubs, and they're just really friendly. There's a lot of banter. It's generally a really good atmosphere. Same as fishing clubs. Most people will let you a few shots with their rifle. They'll talk to you about what pellets they use. The thing you can do is join a club, get to know other shooters. Nowadays, I mean, my club up here, Range and Country, it's it's a family affair. There's a lot more lady shooters through now, and a lot more sort of husbands, wives, and kids out on a Sunday afternoon for a couple of hours. It's great to see, actually. That would be my advice: is just join a club, find your nearest club, give them a call, or just pop down there on a Sunday morning.
And stick with 2-2, it's better. Oh dear, those were the days. I tried 177 once. It went clean through the rabbit's ears, out the other side, and it buggered off home. And I'm like, I'll go back to 2-2 then. At least if I hit it, I hit it. And I think I shot a squirrel or a wood pigeon with the 177, and it didn't know it was dead and just buggered off. It's like, all right, then, I won't bother. So I've stuck with 2-2 for the best part of 30 odd years, and I haven't looked back. I know every aim point, what it's going to do, and I use either Crossman Premier or the Marksman pellets like these. And I've dug them out of rabbits before, found them when you're prepping them, and you could almost, by the striations, use them again. They look almost perfect. But the thing I do like, and a good tip, let me just open this tin a minute. I don't know if the camera will see this with the light. In the back of like the Acupels and stuff, where's the camera? You've got this flat surface. It doesn't happen so much under night vision, but if you use a lamp, it acts like a little tracer round. So you can see exactly where you're shooting. Really, really handy. Good tip for anyone that shoots pellet.
Excellent.
Right, well, I won't hold you up anymore. Thank you very much for your time and your experience.
It's been lovely talking to you, mate. We'll have to do it
And
again
you.
sometime.
Yeah, well, this is season 2, so welcome back for season 3. Ideal. Thank you very much, young man. Cheers.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.